Okay, so we're still reading the inside of the book. I'll make sure to put in the description of the video should you not really want to watch videos of me just reading this when I am still reading it and when I finally have finished reading it. So anyway, we're on the James McCullen the Sixth, and his description is that he built heavily gunned galleons for the Italians and the Spanish, effectively ending the age of oar-powered ships in the naval warfare. And one thing I automatically get from this and other stuff later in the pages, if you can, there's only 2 or 3 or 4 if you really count them, of information that's in here, but it's just interesting, at least to myself, and hopefully to those of you listening to this, that at least in the Rise of Cobra movie and the universe that that movie takes place in, that this really gives you a sense of how true it is that Mars Industries is just this huge, importance, because not only in what's in the front of this part of the book, but in the later part, the sword and and the shield, and how Mars, makes 70% of anything and everything, and it's like, well, yeah, if they are responsible just for this little stuff here, they definitely give you that feel of how important the McCullens plan was. The only thing I think kind of that I keep trying to fight myself from thinking is I just keep thinking, if there's all this history, or even some of this history, of what the McCullens did, didn't they think it was a kind of odd to join forces with a McCullen, the U.S. government? So maybe I'm overthinking that, but if you are listening to this, tell me what you think about that. Maybe I'm just overthinking it, but anyway, so then pardon me, we have James McCullen the Seventh, and it says he monopolized gun power production and sales before introducing the flintlock to Europe, supplied ships and power to stop the Spanish Armada. Or, yeah. It's really kind of tough. I don't know that you guys can see that, but the way it's written, some of the letters, you can't tell. Like this one I thought was a D at first, and then I'm like, nah, maybe that's an S. And then I'm like, no, it's definitely a D. So anyway, then we go on to James McCullen the Eighth. Ran a pirate ring in the Caribbean, raiding ships from any nation and reselling their cargo through legitimate business fronts. So maybe that's what it was, is maybe they started thinking, well, all these people did bad stuff, but then they started finding a better way of hiding who they really were. So anyway, let's see. It says James McCullen the Ninth sold weapons to all sides during the 30 Years' War, was punished with iron mask by the French for selling arms to Spain, designed and tested military submarines in the English Channel, and supposedly they were doing submarines as early as 1613. So it would be interesting, at least for myself. I'm going to see when we actually did, when is the first submersible that, at least in our universe, really happened. So one thing I think is kind of interesting is that they chose to go with James McCullen the Ninth, and I don't know if that's mostly because of some of the canon that was already in the cartoon or the comic, that they had to stick with the Ninth and not start with James McCullen the First, being the first one to sell arms to both sides. And the reason I say that is because both the figure that is in this packaging, and if I'm not mistaken, would be the same as the character in the movie. He's the ninth James McCullen. So kind of interesting that they chose to go with the McCullen. So if you guys have any thoughts or any information on that, I would definitely love that as a comment or even a video response. I have not had any of those, so I'm definitely open to anybody sending me a video response. So then we're on to James McCullen the 10th. It says built ships for both England and the Netherlands in the Anglo-Dutch War, and he was assassinated in 1705. So maybe that's when people started. Well, I guess with the 9th, they would have already known that the McCullens were not a trustworthy bunch. So I'm sure not only were their enemies, but even their allies, if they can even have such a thing, were starting to assassinate McCullens. So then we go on to James McCullen the 11th, and it says, supported with men and arms, the Jacobite, I think is what that is, uprising, provided the first iron grenadiers as bodyguards to James the 7th. Now that one I'm not really understanding. I don't know if they're saying that the uprising was the reason that they started doing grenadiers, because I don't see how McCullen the 11th would have been able to give bodyguards to James the 7th. So again, if anyone's sticking with this video response or some comments to help me understand that, because I definitely enjoy learning stuff too when I'm unclear on something. So then we're on to James McCullen the 12th, and it says sold arms and troops to all sides in the war of the Quadruple Alliance, and he was killed at the Battle of Cape, I want to say Passero. Then we have James McCullen the 13th, supplied ships to Spain for besieging by Turiel. Again, it's, I can't tell if that's a B or a G, or while sending weapons and supplies to the English defenders. So that gives you the front page and the second page, or first and second page. And then they could have made it very simple and just made it looking like a book just by that, because there you have the look of the pages right there. But they went the extra mile and not only gave you 2 pages, but you then have 4 pages, and you're like, oh great, we have to listen to him for 2 more pages. But anyway, I will definitely put in the description when I am done reading all this, in case this is spoiling or making it boring. So then we go on to James McCullen the 14th, and we're up to the date 1725 to 1806. And it says he introduced the shrapnel shell to artillery engagements, supported parliamentary acts imposed of the American colonies in anticipation of revolt and revolution. And here's another thing that I'll say with this. I don't get the channel Spike, but if you guys get that channel Spike, have you ever seen something like Ultimate Warriors? And that's basically what this shrapnel shell is making me think of. I think that's something that they used in one of the episodes where it was the pirate against the knight or something like that. So again, that's one thought that I get from reading that. So anyway, next is video number 3 for the descriptions of the inner pages of this exclusive book of the McCullen clan. Alright, so we'll see you in video number 3. Right, bye.